Welcome to another episode of Dr. Brook on the Block. It's time to grab a seat, buckle up, and take a ride with me through the wild, wild west of the Web3 universe, where we're going to learn all about coins and tokens, NFTs and contracts, digital real estate and the metaverse, and so much more. There's a lot to get through on the block, but I am here to pave the way and help you avoid those nasty pitfalls and rug pulls so you don't get hurt. I'm going to also introduce you to some interesting characters along the way. Are you ready? Your ride starts now. Hello, and welcome to yet another episode of Dr. Brook on the Block. I am your host, Dr. Brook, the cryptopractor, and welcome. If this is your first time taking a ride with us through the wild, wild west of Web3, you are in for an exciting ride today. Make sure that seatbelt is buckled up tight. You don't want to fall out. And for those of you who are returning for yet another ride, you know what to expect. Make sure that seatbelt is fastly tightened and get ready for a fun adventure. This is an episode I have been looking forward to releasing for quite some time now. And I've been working through the pieces, sharing this concept with some people, and really getting this fine-tuned. So I'm very excited to be sharing this with you and being able to blend both of my worlds together. As a healthcare practitioner, I get to work with patients on a daily basis to help them really truly discover the answers that their body holds in order for them to receive the healing and the restoration that they need to live life fully out. And then as a blockchain enthusiast, somebody who's really passionate about the world of Web3 and blockchain and what it's going to do with our lives and society moving forward and how it's shifting everything up on its head, I then get to connect the blockchain piece today. So with that being said, the title of today's podcast is Your Body as a Blockchain. So this is going to be an episode in two folds. We're going to be talking to those health enthusiasts, the people who are, wellness warriors, taking care of their health, and they know a lot about the body, but they don't know a lot about Web3, or they don't know a lot about blockchain technology. We're going to help you, if you're that person, understand blockchain through understanding your body. And for those of you who might be listening that do understand somewhat of blockchain technology, you're going to understand a little bit more about how your body functions and be able to have an interactive experience with your body in the way that you do with blockchain technology. And it might sound like, how is that possible, Dr. Brook? But just watch and see. So with that being said, let's get started. Woo woo! All right. So your body, your whole body, everything that makes up you standing up, you sitting down, you lying down, that piece of flesh that you carry with you every single place you go, whether it's to the coffee shop, the movies, work, the beach, anything you do, that body that you carry around with you, consider that a blockchain. Now, a blockchain is essentially a huge network of different computers all across the globe that build up an entire blockchain. So the body is one big thing. A blockchain is one big thing. Now, what makes you you? What makes you you? Why do you have blue eyes and blonde hair, or dark eyes and dark hair, or tan skin or light skin? What makes up you? What makes up you is your genetics. You look the way that you do. You have the complexion and the skin tone that you do because of your genetics. You might be predisposed to different, diseases or health challenges because of genetics, or you might have a certain body build because of genetics. Those are your genetics. So genetics are what makes your body look the way that it does. Well, how does these computers, these blockchain computers that are all across the globe, spread out all across the globe, how do these blockchains work? Well, they work based off consensus mechanisms. Those mechanisms are basically the blockchain's set of rules. Now, those set of rules are defined by either proof of stake, proof of history, proof of work, proof of authority. There's a lot of other different mechanisms or consensus mechanisms. Go back to a prior episode. I did speak about blockchain consensus types if you need to get an understanding of that. But those consensus types, depending on what the blockchain decides that their set of rules are, can be like your body's genetics. Your genetics define who you are and what you look like. And for blockchain, those consensus types basically give the blockchain its set of rules and what that blockchain is going to look like and how it's going to abide and function and work through that, right? So now, your organs and tissues. You have all these organs that run, when someone says their stomach hurts and they just touch their belly, there's tons of different organs besides just the stomach, which actually resides right underneath the side of your left ribs. So I think it's it's silly sometimes when someone says my stomach hurts and they're like touching their entire belly, or where does it hurt? Right by their belly button. The stomach is tucked up way up underneath the left side of the ribs. So anyways, the stomach gets a lot of love from people just by saying its name, right? My stomach hurts. So your organs and your tissues. We have a liver, we have a small intestine, we have a large intestine, we have a heart, we have the pancreas, we have the actual stomach, we have the adrenal glands, the kidneys, the reproductive organs, all of these different organs or tissues, like our muscles, our skin, the connective tissues that hold those things together, like ligaments, all of those things in the blockchain world would be what is called nodes. Now, to define the term node, for those of you who don't understand Web3, a node is a computer. A node is a computer that is running that particular blockchain on it, that blockchain consensus method on that computer. And these nodes are all linked together all across the globe. Now, what makes blockchain technology unique compared to what we are currently living in right now is there's a lot of centralization in the world right now. So if you think about it this way, we'll just use the analogy of, let's say you have tons of different computers in your home, and God forbid a fire runs through your home, and now you've lost access to all of your childhood photos, your kids growing up, all of your favorite memories or your work files or all those like $1 million business ideas. You've lost access to all of those because of that fire whipping through and basically taking out the entire system, right? The entire centralized system. Now, that is a small piece of what is actually happening, because most people can go, okay, well, that's my personal data. But a lot of what's going on in the world is very centralized. So when something is getting sent to the quote unquote cloud, it's getting sent to a centralized server network, wherever maybe Apple has their stuff or Google has their stuff or YouTube, wherever, and it's going to their cloud. So if something was to happen to that, like say their cloud is in Seattle, Washington, Amazon is there, right? Amazon has their big, huge buildings there in Seattle. So let's say huge, big, what happens in Seattle? They get rained out. So much rain, flooded in Seattle. And now all of those computers are messed up. And all of that data is gone and there's no access to that, right? So with blockchain technology, we now have the ability to have this essentially this decentralized, it's not central in one location, it is all over the world. These information pieces or this transaction pieces that are open source and they're available, like it's what's the word I'm looking for? Transparent. The information can be easily retrieved and looked at. And if my computer goes down in California, the person who has the same information on my computer, they're running the same blockchain on their computer in India or Chicago or whatever, their computer has that information. And once I get my computer up and going and get the rest of the data there, I can continue running as a node. So that is how the organs and tissues, muscles, ligaments, connective tissues, all of those things in the body, they're like separate nodes. So they're all of the information is coming downstream from the brain to these organs, and these organs are sending information back up to the brain, telling them, what to do, what transactions to process, how to do different pieces, just as these nodes are sending and getting information out in different places, right? So now, well, what connects the nodes to the network? Wires, cables, those kind of things, right? You have to be hooked up to an energy source in order to have your computer turn on. Sure, you might have a battery charged, but once the battery dies, you have to get into an electrical outlet to have access to or to get power back on your computer. So for the body, the thing that acts as the wires that connect those different organs to the brain are like nerves, their blood vessels, arteries, lymph tissue. Lymph tissue is like a super highway in the body that clears out junk. So when your body is creating quote unquote waste, because it is creating waste on a daily basis, building and tearing down, building and tearing down, building and tearing down, making building blocks for you to operate and show up in the world in the way that you do, these lymph tissue essentially clears up all that waste. Think like waste management or wherever the area you're in, like the waste trash company that comes around and picks up the trash. If we didn't have that, things could be really rough. We go out into our streets and have smelly, yicky scents coming out. We would, just like it wouldn't look as nice as it does when we go out into our streets if we didn't have waste management. So, waste management, the lymph system in the body, helps clear all that debris out of your system so that you can function readily available to fight off infections, to do what you need to do so that you're not bombarded with a bunch of toxic trash sitting in your body. Keeping your lymph tissue is really, really important to keep it very clear. One of the ways to do this, if you need some assistance, is drinking a lot of water. Don't drink too much, though. Drink adequate amounts of water to help that lymph system flush things out. And you can also do some light bouncing. So if you don't have an exercise ball that you can sit on and you can kind of bounce your shoulders up and down and get your pelvis going up and down, that helps move the lymph tissue and get things flushed out, because a lot of your lymph is in your lower extremity, and your lower extremity, your legs, your hips, your feet, they're fighting against gravity to bring everything back up, to get it drained into the kidneys so it can be excreted out of the body. So bouncing on a ball will help with that lymph tissue movement. And one of the other things you can do, some people have mini trampolines at home that you can then, hold on to the bar and just kind of bounce on your tippy toes. That's a better bounce for the lymphatics with a mini trampoline. And you could do that for 3 to 4 minutes a day to just help get that going. So I know a lot of people also do lymphatic massage, and that helps get deeper in the tissue. So we need those good, clean wires to connect the body, to clear the body, right? And we need clear wires for the blockchain to run efficiently and effectively, and for those nodes, those computers, to remain connected to the entire whole. Okay, so next thing, once we have that, then we have something called amino acids. Well, amino acids for the human body are the building blocks that are necessary for protein synthesis. A lot of people may be taking amino acids separate, like in a supplementation, or they may, be getting it from their food sources. All food has amino acids as a part of it. And there are 20 different amino acids. Some are essential, meaning the body does not have the ability to make those on their own. If it's an essential amino acid, the body does not have an ability to make it on its own. So it needs you to be either consuming the food source that contains those amino acids, or it needs you to be supplementing with those necessary amino acids. I am going to digress for one moment here to tell you I am not a proponent of supplementation necessarily. The work that I do makes sure that you take the proper supplementation that your body is actually seeking and nothing else. When you take supplements, I don't care if they're triple graded, professional, da da la 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 la, whatever marketing terms that they use to get you to buy their powders, their this, their potions, their lotions, all of it, all it is a roadblock for your body. So imagine your body driving down the street. It's in a high powered Tesla. It's just cruising along, and all of a sudden you throw in this cool protein powder shake, whatever supplement you're taking. You are then essentially throwing roadblocks in the way. So now the Tesla's having to like divert and dodge these roadblocks, these rocks, these things that are flying, these debris in the road, and it takes energy away from being able to do the work that it should be doing. Now, I said I digress because some people get caught up on that and go, well, Dr. Brooke, what am I supposed to be taking? What I want you to do, if you're not working with me as a patient, one of the ways that you can figure this out is really, truly like start to, instead of taking a bunch of different supplements at once, take a supplement, whatever dosing is on the bottle, and see how your body feels. If you start to feel heavy or weighed down or like lacking energy, right? Because some of these supplements should be helping with your energy. If you're feeling like lethargic afterwards, understand that's causing some sort of distress on your system. So that's one way of doing it. Don't introduce everything at once so you don't know which is the culprit. You need to address things one by one in that case. And don't easily get sold just because somebody's brother, sisters, cousins told you that this worked for them. Does not mean it works for you, because what did I talk about in the beginning about genetics? Genetics are what makes us us. And your genetics are different than your sister's boyfriend, second cousin, blah, 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 whoever down the line, right? So something that worked for them may not work for you. Don't easily get sold in that sense. So how do amino acids relate to the blockchain? Well, those nodes, those computers that are connected, those wires that are connected into the network that allow those nodes globally to function and share data back and forth, they create transactions. So as transactions come through the different computers, those transactions are those amino acids. Here's the amino acid, big huge chain of amino acids coming through. And then you have on the blockchain Web3 space, you have all these big, chains of transactions going through, and you have people, the node runners, the people that are running the nodes, that are, and I'm going to tell you what those nodes people are called in a minute. I don't want to confuse you, but those node, runners, the people who are running the nodes, they're getting those transactions. Those transactions are hitting their computer. So they're then required to process those transactions. So they process those transactions as they're coming, and they form, once they complete the transactions and they put it all together, it forms a block. So that block, everything is kind of clustered in there depending on however many transactions the block holds. Just for educational purposes, we're going to say 100 transactions per block. So when the 100 transactions are completed, that one block is completed, and then it's like strung together with the previous 100 transaction block that was completed. So it's just strung together, block, 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 block. Hence the terminology blockchain. That's the idea, blockchain. Instead of housing data in just like cylinder data files lying on top of each other, they're actually strung together as blocks in the Web3 world. So what is the blocks in the body? Well, the blocks in the body are like protein synthesis. So we talked about the amino acids, right? The little pieces that we have in our body that make up proteins, different proteins. We have 20 of them. I mentioned some are essential, some are non-essential. Non-essential amino acids are the ones the body can make. Non essential ones are the ones you actually have to intake. So with the amino acids, well, we need to now string the amino acids together to make different types of protein. Our hair is a different type of protein. Our skin is a different type of protein. Our eyeballs are a different type of protein. Our, heart muscle is a different type of protein than our bicep muscle, and so forth. So these proteins or these amino acids need to be strung together in a proper order to make whatever type of protein or fat that they are being asked to make, right? Asked to create, because the body is communicating, the body is talking, and it's saying, all right, you got the worker man down there going, all right, or the worker woman, all right, we need a piece of hair, we need a new red blood cell, we need white blood cells, we need this and we need that. And so they got the list going, and the worker bees are going, and they're like, okay, I need a piece of that, and I need a piece of that, and I need a piece of that, and they string these amino acids together, and that's what makes that red blood cell or that hair molecule or the skin molecule. So in Web3, just to recap that whole section, in Web3, the blocks that are being strung together, the 100 transactions in the block, the each individual transaction in there is an amino acid, but then all of those amino acids together then make up a type of protein. And this also happens with like fat synthesis, although it's a little different than utilizing amino acids. We're not going to go deep down into that right now. So the blocks are strung together, blockchain strung together, and they form the chain. The amino acids form the protein that makes us up who we are, right? We go work out at the gym, we rip apart our muscles so that they can grow stronger, more protein is necessary, and so forth. So, well, who the heck are these people that are running the nodes? What is happening here? Who's at the helm of all of this? Well, these node runners, the people that are running nodes, are people who are validating these transactions. As the transactions show up, they say, okay, great, that is truly like verified. I verify that that's real, that's accurate information, and I'm going to sign off on that. Well, do we have a miner in the body? Well, sorry. I didn't even tell you that those node people are called miners. Miner, like mining for gold or mining. Mining, right? Mining for gold. Miner. They are called miners. That's the terminology that is used in this space. Well, does the body have a miner? Who is the miner in the body? Guess what, guys? It's the brain. The brain. He, she, they are doing all of this amazing work for us to be able to function in the way that we do. Isn't that incredible? Just like those miners do all this amazing, incredible work to allow the blockchain to function and act in the way that it does. Because without miners, the blockchain isn't anything really. So, the human brain is responsible for all of these things to happen, for all of this stuff to go down, right? The brain is getting information from the rest of the body and knows what's happening, so it can kind of divert or work, like make some adjustments and changes if necessary, if it needs to. So it's very, very, very important that your brain stays in check. Now, what are some of the ways to keep your brain in check? Well, avoid a lot of processed foods. I would say, like, if you're eating a lot of processed foods as is right now, I would highly, highly, highly at least do 2 meals of real food, quality food, and then maybe, start to taper off like 2 meals in one, and then go more towards real whole based food. I know it's hard. I really know that it's hard when you are really eating a diet full of processed foods because you're wanting quick, you're wanting easy, you don't have time for that because there's charts to read, there's candles moving all different directions, there's trades to be made. If you are operating in the Web3 world right now, for those of you who are in the health space that may not understand the terminology I just mentioned, it is basically essentially people looking at trading views as to what is happening in the financial markets and making decisions whether either to sell something or to buy, and making financial moves that way. So people who are doing that, if that is you, understand that you may feel sharp in the mind right now, but you aren't sharp in the mind long term if you're eating a ton of processed foods that cause a lot of inflammation in the body and over time will just completely decimate you. Like, not to be harsh, but it's true. So avoid processed foods, get adequate sleep. In terms of taking care of the brain, adequate sleep helps the entire body, but the brain needs sleep so very, very badly. And the other thing that you can also do, among other things, is to really prioritize getting some healthy movement, whether it's some exercise, yoga, Pilates, going for a walk, doing what you need to do to get some healthy movement in the body, because the brain loves more complex movements. It doesn't like these bicep curls. But if you're walking like a brisk walk and you're moving your arms side to side and you're kind of getting your heart rate up, that's good exercises that can help with the brain when you're just starting out with some good, healthy habits. So, brain in the human body, to recap, is the miner, MINER, for the blockchain. It is what processes all the transactions, it's what's receiving all of that information. And so, what makes an entire blockchain successful is the strength of its network. Well, the entire network of the human body, the organs, the vessels, the lymph system, the tissues, the muscles, everything in the body is required to remain healthy, as well as the entire blockchain. So if the individual pieces of the blockchain are successful, or I mean, if the individual pieces of the body are healthy, then the rest of the system is going to be healthy. Just like with blockchain, what makes blockchain successful is the strength of its network. Now, in closing, to summarize everything, not to summarize it fully, but I want to make this point very clear. What can attack the body? The things like viruses, I mentioned inflammation earlier when I was talking about the brain, different diseases, things like that can attack the body. They make the body more susceptible and more weak. When the immune system is down, the immune system doesn't operate fully. Well, can blockchain be attacked? Can blockchain experience viruses and inflammation and diseases and all sorts of, different things? Absolutely. Absolutely it can. Well, one of those ways is something called a 51% attack. Now, if a blockchain receives a 51% attack, it means that 51% of all the miners, all the nodes running the transactions, decides that it's going to play dirty, and they're all going to band together and they're going to do something completely different. That's a 51% attack. Now, has it happened? No. Is it eligible to happen, or is it immune to, or not? Is it like, can it happen? Absolutely. Not saying it hasn't happened yet. I think as the network continues to keep getting stronger with all the different chains that are coming in and all of the shakeout that has already happened, because this entire Web3 space has seen its fair share already of viruses, inflammation, and diseases, with bad actors getting shaken out of the space. We're going to see more solid projects, more solid people coming into the space that are doing things for life-changing reasons and not just to make a quick buck and run. So, what does the immune system, or how does viruses, inflammation, and diseases stay out of the picture? Through the immune system. The immune system in the body wards off all of these viruses, inflammation, and diseases. Well, what wards off 50%, 51% attacks on the blockchain is people like you And people like me and people who are building amazing, beautiful projects in the space that are wanting to do good for the world and wanting to actually be part of a community where the people rise up and are no longer under the thumb of this, hierarchy of rules and like all of the stuff that's going on in a governmental standpoint, because we definitely know that there are pretty dark pieces going on. So now, in closing, I really hope that this was insightful for you to understand blockchain as your body, or understand blockchain through your body, and understand your body more by applying it to blockchain principles. So just like you live and function every single day in your body without knowing much more than just the basics. Maybe you know that you should eat leafy greens instead of, a sugar cane, or maybe you should drink water instead of 7-Up. Those are basic understandings of your body. You don't know all the intricate pieces of how everything biochemically is breaking down and all that kind of stuff, unless, of course, you decide you want to know that and you want to become a doctor and you want to break down all of that and study neurology and all of how the pieces work together. But understand that just like you may not know all of the pieces of your body and how everything chemically works together, you don't have to understand every bit of blockchain and how blockchain works without actually investing or being part of the ecosystem that makes up blockchain technology, that makes up this world of Web3. Because you coming into Web3, even if you understand basics of it, the likelihood of you being able to really truly make a big financial change in your world is huge. But this is why I put these podcast episodes out. This is why I bring these people to you, is to really share with you that there are really great people in this space doing really amazing things that are making huge, massive differences and being financially rewarded in the process. So on that note, Dr. Brook is officially out. This ride is pulling up into the station. I really hope you learned so many amazing things today. Please leave a review if you have not done so. It really would mean the world to me and mean the world to the rest of the people who have yet to discover Dr. Brook on the blockchain and how we can rise up together and in full unity. So have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will talk to you on the next one. You made it! Congratulations! That wasn't so bad, was it? I hope you laughed and learned a little bit more about this Web3 universe and how simple and fun it can really be. Would you be so kind as to leave us a review and share it with your friends and family? It would mean so much to get this out to more people as we embark on the greatest transfer of wealth that has ever happened in human history. Can't wait to see you on the next one.